Hi there, and welcome back to Tools for Self-Improvement. I'm Roxana, your coach and psychologist, and today I want us to get to know our emotions better. So we're going to discuss the 4 levels on which each emotion manifests itself, and we're going to see how we can gather even more information about our emotions so we can connect to them better, so we can feel more in control, and we can start to make changes. So, every emotion we have, no matter if it's positive or negative, functional or dysfunctional, and if you need a reminder about this important distinction, I will put the video somewhere up there. So no matter how I perceive my emotion to be, I can analyze my emotions on 4 different levels, and they're all applied to all our emotions. I do recommend, though, that we do this analysis after we've experienced a negative emotion, for example, especially if it's dysfunctional, very intense one, because it might be hard for me, for example, if I have anger, to be able to sit there and to try to think about all of these elements and components and put them all together. That might be easier for me to do after my anger is not as intense, maybe when I'm just upset or disappointed, to go back and see what actually happened to me while I was angry. And then I can maybe distance myself a bit more and have a bigger, larger perspective that's more helpful to me in this idea of gathering information. So, the 4 levels. The first level is the cognitive level or the thought level. So this basically means what kind of thoughts did I have before I started to experience my emotion, while I was experiencing it, and after. And if you want to understand a bit more how thoughts lead to emotions, I will link that video up for you as well. But the idea is this: if I experience anxiety, let's say I have anxiety in the situation where I have to do a presentation for my boss. If I have anxiety, then what I might be thinking before and during the presentation might be, what if I make a mistake? What if I end up saying the wrong thing? What if he asks me a question and I don't know the answer? What if he realizes that I'm not doing my job well? What if we're going to have a difficult conversation and then he ends up firing me? So if I have these types of thoughts while I'm presenting my, report to my boss, it's going to be very hard for me to not have anxiety in that moment, right? So that is the cognitive level. Let's move on to the second level, which is the physical level, or what happens in my body while I experience a certain emotion. And in the case of anxiety, what happens in my body is that my brain will feel that I am in a situation when I need to protect myself, when I'm facing a perceived danger or threat. And so he's going to release adrenaline and cortisol in my body, which will produce a lot of changes. And I'm going to interpret these changes through a certain filter, but most likely I will experience the fact that my body is becoming very tense, that I maybe have negative sensations in my stomach, maybe my palms become very sweaty, maybe my heart is beating very fast, maybe I feel a knot in my throat and I cannot control my voice while I try to speak. Maybe it's a bit harder to focus, right? So all of these physical sensations I might experience when I have anxiety. When we have positive emotions, we can have different kind of physical sensations that are more motivating, and we see them in a more positive light because of the context that we're in, but everything's interconnected. So let's go back to the levels. So we had the cognitive level, now we had the physical level, the subjective level is next. The subjective level basically means that I use a certain language to describe my emotion or to describe what I'm feeling. So when I feel anxiety, I might say I'm feeling very agitated, I'm restless, I cannot stand still, I cannot relax, my body is very tense. All of these words and phrases that I can put there to describe what's happening to me in the moment that I'm having this emotion. And the last level is the behavior level, which describes what I'm doing when I experience that emotion or what I would like to do. So in the case of anxiety, usually what we are doing or would like to do is avoid, procrastinate, end the situation as quickly as possible. So escape or run away from the situation. and so on. If we're experiencing anxiety, this is what's happening. But if we experience anger, for example, our response, our behavior response is a bit different, because what we want to do there and what we do sometimes is try to release the internal physical and psychological tension. And so we are going to maybe raise our voice and yell and shout, or even we will want to, pick up an object and throw it away just because we want to feel less bad compared to how we're feeling. So these are the 4 levels: the cognitive one, what kind of thoughts I have before, during, and after my emotion; the physical one, what happens in my body when I experience an emotion; subjective one, how do I describe my emotion and what I'm feeling; and the behavior one, what am I doing or what do I want to do when I'm having this emotion. I do invite you to try to apply this self-reflection exercise and to gather as much information as possible about how your emotions manifest. I think this can be a very valuable technique to have in hand and to practice, and it will help you in the future in terms of managing your emotions. If you have any difficulties with this, or if you have any questions, please reach out and let's talk. Until next time, I'm going to leave you with my kind reminder to invest in your emotional health.